Every commercial item on that contract was closed. Every single one. Month of work, we had the pricing agreed, the terms agreed, legal was done, the contract was sitting there ready to be signed. And then somebody mentioned, almost in passing, that the CFO was out until 3 days before the end of the quarter. The CFO, the man who actually signs it. And nobody had asked, including me. And it was on my forecast. I need you to understand what that deal meant to me. I didn't just work that deal, I put my whole heart into it. Getting to the point where every open item was closed had taken months. Every objection was handled, every internal approval collected, every last point of paper was agreed. And I'd built the entire thing on a signature nobody had confirmed was available. Here's what makes us uncomfortable, and it's why I still think about it. We did everything right. We mapped the buying committee. We knew exactly who the decision makers were, who the influencers were, who could block us. That work was done properly. What we had tracked was who had to say yes. What we had never tracked was when they'd physically be there. Those are two completely different questions, and I'd only ever asked one of them. We had a closed item checklist. What we didn't have was a signature plan. Commercial readiness and executable readiness are two different things, and I'd only ever measured one of them. I could tell you the status of every open point on that contract. I couldn't tell you whether the one person who had to sign it was going to be in the building. If you carry a number and you've ever watched a finished deal sit still because of something nobody thought to ask, that's why this channel is. One deal autopsy a week, usually mine. Subscribe and you will get the rest of them. Now here's the part where I'd like to tell you we've recovered. He came back with 3 days left in the quarter. And I remember thinking, great, we can still do this. That was the same mistake again. On a deal that size, 3 days is not a close window. That paper to read alone takes longer than that. Getting a signature of that value through a company is not a one person picking up a pen, and of course I knew that. I'd known it for years. I'd spent months closing every open item and then pinned the whole thing on the 1 week I had no control over. The deal slipped into the next quarter, and I missed my number. It would have been very easy to file this under bad luck. A CFO took a holiday. What was I supposed to do about that? But he didn't do anything unusual. He took leave in August, like any normal person with his family. The unusual thing was that a deal worth that much was sitting on a single calendar that nobody had looked at. That's not his failure, that was mine. The fair objection, and that's the real one, you can't diligence every stakeholder's calendar on every deal. If you try, you'll slow down deals that would have closed perfectly well, and you'll look paranoid to your own team. There's a real cost to going wide on everything. So the rule is much narrower than that. Check everybody's holidays. You can run a deal on one signature. You're absolutely allowed to. What you're not allowed to do is put it on the forecast at full confidence. The failure isn't the dependency. The failure is the gap between the dependency and what you told your leadership. So this is what I do now, and it takes about 90 seconds. Before a deal goes on committed in the forecast, I ask 3 things. Who physically signs this? Are they available in the window that we have committed to and I'm committing to? And if not, what's the second path? That's it. 3 questions. If I can't answer them, the deal isn't committed. It's hoped for. And I say that word out loud in the forecast call because the word does matter. Every deal review I'd ever run asked whether the deal was ready. Not one of them asked whether the people were. Tell me in the comments, a deal that slipped because the signer was away, is that the reps miss or the managers? I know which one it was in my case.